Welcome to the new NFL season. Welcome back to the Nosebleed section. I am your host, as always, Cam Ward 2025. I am joined by my co-host, I Believe in DeVito. And
Wait, hold, no. You got to do it right, all right? It is,
I'm not doing that.
I believe in DeVito.
I wasn't going to do that. There was no way I was doing that. Oh, my gosh. Oh, well, as we, pay attention to the Jets game, we'll talk about the interesting week that was yesterday, or interesting Sunday, I should say that was. But before we get into it, as always, like, comment, subscribe. I'm so defeated right now.
You're not the only one, man. You're 100% not the only one. Don't feel bad.
I'm so defeated right now. Like, welcome to a new season of Nosebleed section. Oh my gosh, we haven't done one of these since like the draft, and I was looking so forward to the season. Just some progression, something, and damn, was I dragged to the mud. Like, just oh my gosh. You want to go around the league and talk about some games first, or you want to get into this?
I mean, the only things that I really want to talk about as far as the other games is number one, fuck Andy Reid for blowing my parlay on Thursday. Um, I feel really bad for the Packers because, like, granted, they're not going to be without Jordan Love for that. I didn't see a timetable on it, but they did say that it was a season ending, the MCL injury that he has. But they went out there and they put up a pretty good fight against Philadelphia. And at the same time, it's just like this is a team that didn't have any kind of they don't have like any kind of like real number one receiver out there.
Now,
If anybody, I would say it's Jay Reed, but like other than that, like
yeah, I mean they got like a lot of just young talent. They have a lot of young up and coming, like you said, Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, a touchdown machine. So I mean they have like a lot of young developing talent that can be good, but like you said, like there's no superstar receiver that they have that's just like a game wrecker. But they're doing a pretty good job with they're
with what they have,
they're doing some pretty good job with their young guys. I mean, we saw this whole Tyreek Hill thing. I'm not going to get into the Tyreek Hill situation. That's like a whole other podcast if we want to even do that.
Yeah, that needs to be a podcast in and of itself. So
yeah, and that's going to get real if we do a podcast on that. But that's a podcast for another time. I mean, some other teams look good. I know you look bad, but goodness gracious, the Panthers give up 47. Like,
and not only that, but I don't know if you saw the one of the notifications that came up for me today was that Dwayne Brown, I think it is, their defensive tackle. That one man might be out for the season.
Derek Brown, they're like
Derek Brown, yeah.
They're like all pro defensive tackle. Yeah, I saw that.
Yep.
Yeah, things just go from bad to worse for the Panthers. And they spend so much money this offseason just trying to get people down there to try to bolster that roster. Remember, like, we were looking at, like, Robert Hunt and everything, and they gave him, like, 70 mil or something like that. The top-paid interior lineman. I think it was 70. It was 70 or it was, like, damn near 100 or something like that. I forgot exactly the figure on him, but they paid him, like, crazy. I mean, that's what you have to do, I guess, when, you're starved for talent. You need something.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta overpay.
Yeah. I mean, we know that firsthand. Oh my gosh. Then you have like the Cleveland Browns whole situation, especially with like the Joel Bitonio slapping Deshaun Watson's hand away when he was trying to help him up. That was crazy. It was just a wild day in the NFL yesterday. A real wild
Cincinnati going out there almost laying an egg against New England. A New England team that nobody thought was going to be doing anything this year.
At all. With Jacoby Brissett starting, like, went into Cincinnati too. Like, they weren't even in Foxborough, went into Cincinnati and just, like, and nobody expected that game to happen. Like that was surprising. And Jamar Chase was playing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just.
Yeah.
I'm
Week one is weird.
Yeah,
Week one is weird.
It really was. There was a lot. Like, and I'm not going to use that as an excuse for us to be like, well, we weren't the only ones. Like, but like,
No, absolutely not. It's just pointing out like the craziness of week one. We fucking sucked, and that shit made no sense.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well get into it. I mean, there's so many layers to peel back in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Any positives for you?
Positives, yes. As far as leadership goes, or as far as personality goes, where I see a guy who can actually, if he is going to be a lifelong Giant, which I hope he is, Malik Neighbors owned up to his shit yesterday immediately when they questioned him on it. Because they came to him after the game and started asking him about what the problems was with the Giants' offense and everything. And the first thing he did, because the first thing he did in the game is drop the first pass that he saw, is to own up to it and said, they're like, hey, listen, I got to be better than that, and we got to be better than that.
Yep.
He wasn't the only one. And like I said, some of the stuff you can just chalk up to like rookie jitters and stuff like that. But Theo Johnson dropped a wide open pass. Yep. One of the very few that Daniel Jones would actually put on a receiver or whatever. Yep. Like I said, I saw like the future leadership. I saw like maturity from him, which a lot of people were saying in the draft process he didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like that. A positive and a negative, I would say at the same time, is exactly how dominant Dexter Lawrence is. And we were talking about this beforehand because Dex causes the gap between him and the next best defensive tackle on this team to be so damn big that it's just like when he steps off of the field, it's that noticeable. And like the performance level just drops off tremendously after that. I did like the fact that Bobby Okereke went out there, like when he recovered that fumble that Drew Phillips caused, he made sure he showed like his athleticism, his ability to actually make sure he kept himself in bounds, had control of the ball and everything before he went out of bounds and everything. Granted, it only ended up being 3 points, but in a situation where we have a better roster, and some better coaching, maybe that results in 7. Maybe that sparks the team going, for the rest of the game versus just, the next play or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, I got to shout out Drew Phillips. Like for the little bit of time that he was actually on the field, he went out there and he made an impact. Very first time he saw somebody coming towards him with the ball, he forced a damn fumble. That was his first play out there on the field as a rookie. Yep. The very first series he's out there, he's forcing turnovers. And like I said, I had the biggest shit fest. That was right here on the phone with you when it happened. When we took him and I saw Trey Benson still on the board, I was furious. Look, prove me wrong. And I'm going to say this just like I'm going to say this about him because you're going to hear it again, like I said it to you earlier about Daniel Jones. As long as you're in the uniform on the field, you are going to have my support. I'm not going to be out there actively rooting for your downfall. That does not absolve you from criticism, especially when that criticism is 100% right and 100% valid, like you're going to get later. But while you're out there, and this is for Drew Phillips, this is for Kayvon Thibodeau, this is for Brian Burns, this is for everybody in the New York Giants organization. While you are wearing that uniform, I am going to support you. I'm not going to be one of these dudes out here like, fuck you, fuck this guy. I don't care if he just gained 5 yards. I don't care if he scored 5 touchdowns with him. Fuck him. He's still bad. No, that makes no sense. That's counterproductive for me. But at the same time, like I said, that doesn't absolve you from criticism and honestly hatred when you fucking look like Alan the dumbass out there. But that's pretty much it for all the positives I had for yesterday. Oh, sorry, the offensive line. The offensive line was damn good yesterday. They were good yesterday. And I'm saying that as somebody who sat up there watching the offensive line look like shit. So maybe good from what I saw yesterday. Was just mediocre for some other teams or whatever. But that's a step in the right direction. So I'm happy.
Yeah. Honestly, as far as I agree. As far as the offensive line play. Listen, I know we on paper we gave up like 4 or 5 sacks. Like on paper, I understand, but at the same time, I'm accounting 2 to 3 of those on Daniel Jones, holding on to the
Yeah.
ball, running directly into them, like trying to run, scramble, getting tripped up before he gets over the line of scrimmage. It counts as a sack. Like, so was it perfect? No, but like your first time playing under like a pretty much brand new offensive line. I mean, you have AT and you had Schmitz, who was out half the season last year, still on his second year in the league. Now you have a new left guard,
I'll have a camp too.
right? And you have a new left guard, a new right guard, and a new right tackle, a new offensive line coach. So like your first time going out there, yeah, there were some bad plays. Like every offensive line is going to have bad plays. Like Greg Van Roten got beat a couple of times. Illuminor got beat once or twice. Like it happens, but it's 1 week, but was way better than what we saw last year. Like way loads better. So, like I said, I would honestly give the offensive line 2 sacks, and I'd probably put the other 3 on Daniel between holding the ball too long and all that other stuff.
If I remember correctly, I think PFF credited Daniel Jones himself with 2 of his own. So I think it's just the opposite. It's 3 on the O line and 2 on him.
Okay.
But either way,
yeah. I'm in the minority here, maybe, but like I did like Devin Singletary yesterday. Like obviously coming from Saquon, who looks far more athletic and everything, and coming out the backfield with 1,001 jukes, whatever. I understand Singletary a different running back. I would have liked to have seen him when he hits the hole. I would have liked to have seen him switch the ball into the outside hand, because there were a couple of times where he was getting handoffs and he was running up the left sideline with the ball in the right hand, and like you fumble, it's going into the field of play. So you fumble and it rolls out of bounds. So I would have liked to see him switch hands and stuff like that. But I mean, in the runs that he got some positive yards. I mean, I think he had 37 rushing yards, but we went down.
He had 37.
We went down so quickly, you had to abandon the run. And even then, I was like, you don't technically have to abandon the run. Like it was 21-6. And I'm sitting up here like, okay, it's 21-6. Why, if you can score 1 touchdown, it's 21-13. And it's a bit of a game now. Like you're down 8.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to exactly just go into full on throwing the ball every single play. You didn't have to do that. It was 21-6 for majority of the second half. Like if you could potentially score 1 or even get 2 field goals, like it would have been 21-12 and you have a bit of a game. It's like, but you completely abandon the run. And that just leads into Daboll's play calling, which we're going to get to, obviously. Drew Phillips, again, like you said, shout out to him. He played his ass off for the time that he was on the field, which we're going to get into too. To be thrown into duty, I wasn't too mad at Musa. Like I wasn't too mad at him. Tyler Nubin looked pretty good to me. I mean, considering what he was supposed to be doing. I mean, coming downhill on like his run support, he was like filling gaps like a linebacker. Like,
yeah, I forgot him. Yeah,
I think he looked pretty good out there too. I was happy with what I saw out of him. And then I mean, again, like Neighbors being a go-to guy, and just when Daniel Jones did decide to push the ball down the field, the one time he did, Neighbors went up and got it, and Neighbors could have had close to an 80-yard game if he doesn't drop a pass or two. And Lawrence getting that sack to start the game, that's what got me like hyped at the beginning. Like Lawrence had a sack, you had the whole pocket. I was like, oh, like the defense is going to show out today. We're going to have some stuff like you said. Drew Phillips forced a fumble on his first play as a rookie. Like I'm sitting here like, yo, like defense is going to have a bit of a day. Like, and boy was I wrong. Like I was just damn wrong. Like I mean, just to get into some of the things we were talking about again before we started, and a lot of things people saw, like I don't understand what these guys were doing as far as playing somebody in a position the entire training camp and preseason, and then just throwing them into a different role in this game. Like, we treated it like it was a preseason game, like we were just trying things out. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. Like, for you to draft Drew Phillips to be your nickel slot dime corner, name him the starter in camp, say like he's our guy, we're gonna move Cordell out to the outside, and then the game starts and Flop plays majority of the plays inside and Drew isn't on the field at all. Like, you made a whole position for Isaiah Simmons and had him playing nickel slot dime, hybrid corner, hybrid linebacker role. We found the role for him. He doesn't get a single defensive snap the entire game. And then you're going to sit up here and talk about how, CB2 is great. CB2 is fine. We got a mixture of young guys that are going to hold CB2 down. Did you not see every person on CB2 getting lit up yesterday? Are we so good with CB2? Because Nick McLeod looked terrible. Jordan Addison.
And I think he's injured.
And McLeod's injured too?
And I think he got injured yesterday.
Jordan Addison was tearing him before he got hurt.
So from now on, or from next week on, I believe you're gonna have a Dory Jackson who's coming in off the street pretty much. Granted, like, he knows the defense, but he's played in our defense or the Wink Martindale defense for the past 2 years, and he played in who the fuck was the defensive coordinator for him that I hated? Patrick Graham. He played in Patrick Graham's defense right before that. So, like,
35 and he played 12 yards off the ball.
Yeah. And I saw a bunch of that yesterday too, and that shit was getting on my goddamn nerves.
To this day, I still don't understand that. It's 3rd and 5 and you're giving the guys 12 yards of cushion.
Mm-hmm.
Make it make any bit of sense.
I don't know. But even then, like, you brought up like training camp and preseason and everything like that. One thing that I honestly need to see going forward, if Brian Daboll is going to continue, because like before yesterday, I was along the lines of he probably needs the exact same, like he's probably tied to the hip with Joe Schoen. I would say when Joe Schoen does go out and draft a quarterback, which is probably going to be next draft or whatever, then like you can probably start the clock on Daboll. But after yesterday, with the absolute shit show I saw with the play calling and everything like that, I don't know if you have that long of a leash with him. So I'm like, if he's going to continue here, then what he does during the offseason absolutely needs to change as well, because we're sitting here and this is the second offseason that our starters have gone out there and played like one game, if that. They've gone out there, and last year it was one series, and they went out there and they shit the bed against Dallas after the blocked field goal. All right. Mm-hmm. This year they go out there. You got a quarterback, and again, I'm not trying to absolve him of anything, but if you want your guy to get as used to game as possible before you actually put him out there on the field in a real football game, play him in the preseason. I don't know. That only makes sense to me. Daniel Jones played a half against Houston, a team that is far and away better than us. So, granted, I understand the whole iron sharpens iron thing, but right now this is iron versus like paper. So,
he's also
playing him against them. What?
He's also coming off an ACL tear, so he hasn't played.
That's what I'm talking about. He doesn't have any kind of like, he didn't have any like real game. I don't want to say experience or whatever, because that's like saying that in the last 5 years he hasn't played football. But I mean, like after the injury or whatever, he hasn't really been able to test that ACL and everything like that, which he should have been doing against live competition that's not trying to keep him out on the field. Put him out there because somebody actually wants to fucking hit his ass. so that these little jitters and shit that he has, these ghosts that he's seeing, and all kinds of other stuff, maybe he can work through them before you see Minnesota out there. But nah. And I'm like I said, I'm putting that on coaching. I'm putting the bullshit ass play calling and everything that we saw yesterday, the 3rd and 1 or whatever. We're gonna do a QB power. Some shit that the Daniel Jones is not fucking Josh Allen. Let's not go there. All right.
2 QB draws in a row.
Mm-hmm.
2 QB powers in a row. Well, it's like you said, Daniel Jones is Josh Allen.
Yeah, like he's not. And as we've already established, he's coming off an ACL injury, Bill. Even if he was, are you going to protect your quarterback or are you trying to get him hurt? Then on to the other part. You got, as you said before, the abandonment of the run game. You got the stupidity of that crazy ass play design that we had with that pick six, where you basically telegraph by putting Wandale in the position that you did and not having anybody in the backfield. You basically telegraph the fact that you're running the wide receiver screen. You had Van Ginkel come out and say, "Well, I saw the alignment and I kind of sort of knew they had to be running that, so," and he just threw it right to me.
I saw all over like social media and everything. Like, yo, the entire world knew you were running a screen. If all of us sitting at home are like, this is going to be a screen to Wandale. Like, if all of us that aren't Giants coaches, NFL players, anything, could just stare at a TV and be like, you're empty. You got one to the wide side to the left. You have quads to the right. And it's not like all lined up together. It's 3 people in the front, and then Wandale just motions behind them. Like, it's one of 2 things. You're going to throw a screen, or you have the whole middle of the field open when you could just run because there was nobody in the middle of the field.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, why not? Even if Dave's told you to do that, why don't you just call your own number? Huh? It's 3rd and 4. We had quads right. They had to respect that. The linebacker went over there. I look up, and there's nobody in the middle of the field. 5 down linemen, 4 D linemen. Why don't I just fake the screen and then run straight? No. Let me look to the right and see Van Ginkel lined up 4 yards away from Jerome Illuminor, standing there waiting for me to throw it, still hike, look at him, and proceed to throw the ball. Watch him catch it and run the other way and be like, damn, that was probably a bad decision. What? Like, why not just look fake and you could have took off for 40 yards?
That's my thing. That's my thing right there. Even if you're not talking about a run, like I said, even if you're not talking about running, why not fake the screen there? You fake the screen right there. You're not dropping your lineman out because your guys are like the wide receiver screen is set up for the wide receivers to block. So fake the screen. I don't know. I don't remember exactly who was over there on that side, but I'm pretty sure one of them was Neighbors. Right? You drafted this dude to be a burner. And if it wasn't Neighbors, where the fuck was Hyatt? Because that's another one that was getting on my nerves. How they played 12 plays yesterday?
I think Neighbors was lined up by himself to the left.
And all right, so that excuses him.
And then I believe to the right, I want to say it was Theo. I want to say it was Theo, Slayton, and Belly or something like that. And then Wandale behind him.
Then if that's the case, that's the dumbest fucking alignment I've ever seen in my entire life.
It was something like that. I have to go back and look at it again, but I know Theo Johnson was a big ass dude out there. I want to say it was Theo, like just made it more obvious. Oh, I'm going to put 2 blocking tight ends out there.
I know.
Like, and I'm going to motion. I don't know.
I don't understand it, but they're like I said, again, no one is trying to absolve Daniel Jones from his mistakes and everything yesterday, but I'm going to be the first one to sit up there and say, in a lot of those, not even a lot, in those situations like that one right there, Dable set his ass up for failure. He could have done something to actually mitigate that shit, and he probably should have, but I'm not letting Dable off the hook. That shit was on him.
Like I said, that to me, To me, it was on both of them because yes, like I agree, it was a dumbass play call from Dable, a dumbass play call. You're on your own like 10-yard line and you're gonna run a
Mhm.
quads right screen like, and then you're gonna and then but then to me, I look at Daniel and it's like, bro, learn to not be a robot that just looks at stuff and just says, okay, I do this. Like that's the other thing. Like learn to
And
not be
I
a robot.
get you.
Like
I 100% get you. I'm
like
like, all right, bro.
uh,
I don't know if this dude is sitting up here and he is literally just that fucking robotic, or if Dable handcuffed him and was just like, "Do not change the play. Do what I told you to do." I don't know what the situation was in that case. And granted, maybe this is me coming off of my road to glory on NCAA where I can't call my own plays, but I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this situation and I'm just like, as a quarterback in the NFL, you have to be able to recognize that. And to me personally, the only way I, as a quarterback, would not have looked at that situation and changed that is if my coach told me not to.
you're better than me because I would have looked at the alignment. I'd have looked at Van Ginkel sitting out there, and I would have looked at Dable and been like, "I'm not running this bullshit." And I'd have hiked it, and I faked that way, and I just took off running for better or worse. Because Van
Oh,
Ginkel,
they see that's the supervisor in me that learned the whole thing. That sometimes you got to let shit burn in order to get your point across. That's
yeah,
the only reason I would have done that.
like it's already burning. Like
I,
how much worse can it get? How much worse can
hey,
it get? How the dude's gonna sit there like, I don't like. How much worse can it possibly have gotten?
you
Like
know who I used to work for? It could
I
have
get
gotten a whole lot worse.
I get it. But like, I want like, what are you gonna do? Bench me? Go ahead. Go put Drew Lock.
That and you see,
Go
the
ahead.
funny thing is,
Put Drew
the
Lock.
funny thing is,
No better than I am. And if he does, great. I'm still making $40 million for this year. Go ahead. Make yourself look worse. Make yourself look even more
the
stupid. Because you're probably gonna get rid of me after this year anyway. So I
the
look worse for the pick six, or I look worse because I called my own number. I got the first down. You're gonna pull me for Drew Lock. And go ahead and do it. Because I want to look
the
dumb.
funny thing about it,
$40 million.
the funny thing about it is, that's what I need him to do going forward. And like I said, he Dan, like not Dave Jones, Brian Dable had absolutely no choice but to come out and be like, all right, he's our guy, yada yada yada. He had a bad game or whatever it is. He had to do like the coach speak type thing after the game. All right. I already gave you my point of view when we were talking earlier. He has till the end of this Washington game. He has owned Washington. The only difference in this situation right now is the fact that they have Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator, and Dan Quinn has owned Daniel Jones pretty much, right? So Dan Quinn doesn't have Dallas's defense anymore. Now he has Washington's. He doesn't have a Micah Parsons out there. He doesn't have a Trayvon Diggs, right? He has an Emmanuel Forbes. I don't want to hear, oh man, I'm scared to throw the ball in this situation. I'm hesitant to throw it out there because the cornerback might jump it. No, you have nothing to lose now.
Forbes ain't even
Your
playing.
back is 100. Your back is 100% against the wall, Joe. You know I'm an Eminem fan. And you're probably gonna hate me for this shit. Daniel Jones, if you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted for one fucking moment, are you going to capture it? Or are you going to continue to let that shit slip like you have been for the last 5 years?
Emmanuel Forbes, he was benched yesterday. Emmanuel Forbes didn't even play yesterday. Literally a report that came out today. I saw it earlier on freaking X. Emmanuel Forbes was benched, and he might be cut after this year.
Yeah, I saw him out in the field. I forgot exactly in what context because again, like I was watching Red Zone for most of the day yesterday. So like this shit, it was jumping from point to point. So I don't know what got him benched. All I know is I was loving every second of Washington getting their asses beat.
Yeah, we're the only ones. That dude, like, it is what it is. This is his last week to me. This is his last week. If he goes out there and plays against the, if he goes there and plays against the Commanders, the way I almost said the R word. If
You almost got canceled.
Almost got canceled. Demonetized. Like we make money off of this anyway. Almost got demonetized. If he sat here and he plays against the Commanders the way he played against the Vikings, I say you pull the cord, you pull the plug,
Absolutely.
inactivate that boy for the rest of the season and sit his ass down, and you play with Locker DeVito because at this point his injury clause is scaring me, and I don't need him getting hurt and triggering that clause that he gets a hell of more money and really screws us over. If he goes out there and he's one hopping passes, because our man had Wandale open many times. I mean, again, look, Hyatt dropped a big pass where he should have caught that ball. But our man was airmailing people left and right, holding onto the ball way too long, like always, left and right. People wide open, throwing the ball into the ground 5 yards in front of him. Like, he's cooked. He's done. He's scared to throw the ball. Once that's it, it's over. You cannot break that. There literally is no breaking that. We literally, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, but we saw it in Eli's career. Because Eli was so shell-shocked behind the offensive line when he had, what did they say? Like, the average quarterback had like 2.6, 2.7 seconds to throw.
Seconds. Mm-hmm.
Eli had like 1.4 or something like that at the end of his career, where he was catching the ball and just dropping to the ground because he was so shocked. Like, that's Daniel Jones at this point, because there's so many stills and there's so many videos of this man actually having a pocket in which to sit there and go through progressions, and he still did not go through progression. He still stared down one person, and he still won hot passes. He still stepped into passes and continued to bounce them in front of people 3 to 4 or 5 yards in front of them, hitting people in their feet. Like, he's done. He's done. So I understand. In hindsight, everybody would probably be like, "Oh, we should have just let him go after the." It's hard to say that because you're coming off of a playoff win. So you see, oh, well, maybe there actually is something here. Like, but then you're in the hindsight, everybody's like, "Oh, well, I would just let him go, and I would have just kept Saquon." Yeah, great. Hindsight 2020, everybody can say that because you see, Saquon went and just put up 120-something yards and 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones. Saquon had damn near as many yards rushing as Daniel Jones had throwing yesterday. Like, so I mean, hindsight's a bitch, but at the same time, it's like, it's hard to be like, my quarterback just took us to the playoffs, or was a key part of us getting to the playoffs, but we're gonna let you walk. It's hard to say that, but at this point, the man is done. There's no reason trotting him out there. And you even saw reports today. Dave said he's going to start next week. If we can't get something out of him, then we're going to see what we have to do from there. So, even at this point, Dave's and the staff is like, this is it. Not even you go out here and you throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. I'm not even saying that. If I can't see anything positive out of you, workable, that I can be like, okay, you gave me 200 yards passing. You didn't turn the ball over, a touchdown, 2, maybe 3 even. Like, there's something here where we could potentially get. If I can't get that out of you, sit down. Because I literally saw somebody earlier today say Tyrod and Tommy did more with less last year. So what's Daniel's excuse? What's your excuse now?
My biggest thing, and it's like, I don't like doing that because Tyrod and Tommy did not play the same teams that Daniel Jones played last year. They didn't touch San Francisco. Dallas, I think DeVito played the Dallas game, and they beat us worse in that game than they beat us in the first one. So, I don't like really playing that game. Plus, considering the fact, the only really good team that DeVito beat was fucking Green Bay, and that was before they turned into Green Bay. So I don't like playing that game right now, but I get where these people are coming from when they actually bring stuff up like that. The other thing, and this is one of the reasons why, and Joe, I know you were sick of this shit during the offseason, and I'm not sitting up here trying to play, this is why we should have done X, Y, and Z, but this is why I was so mad that Saquon was let go. Everybody was sitting up here saying, oh, man, Saquon didn't do this. He didn't do that. He wasn't the same runner and everything. But he had the respect of damn near every other defense that we played. Think about 2022 when Daniel Jones was actually fucking good, and he went out there and put up 700 yards rushing or whatever to go with the 3,200 yards passing that he had and everything. The majority of Daniel Jones's runs came off of RPO. Nobody fucking respects Devin Singletary. At least not to the level of a Saquon Barkley. I didn't see well, again, I was on Red Zone yesterday. I was at my boy's house, and this guy was super pissed off and did not want to sit up there in that same game. So maybe there were a couple of plays that happened or whatever, but I don't remember seeing a single RPO yesterday. That's just me. I don't remember seeing a single one. Like, if there's not that threat coming from the backfield to draw the defense's eye, Daniel Jones is not going to be anywhere near the same effectiveness that he was back in 2022. So just by letting him go, Saquon, you've already nerfed the quarterback that you're talking about paying. But everybody wants to sit up there and just be like, man, we're going to get the same production out of this guy. No, you're not. Maybe you get the same numbers, right? But numbers do lie. You can spin them shits any fucking way you want to, right? We just spent an entire offseason looking at the difference between Trevor Lawrence's 50 games and Daniel Jones's 60 and seeing exactly how comparable they are to each other. But what happened with Trevor Lawrence yesterday? They lost, but he looked a hell of a lot better than Daniel Jones did.
Yeah, I don't know. Can we talk about this play with where he missed Slayton? The second pick? The second
pick. The one in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now before we get into it, all right. Yes, I'm watching on TV. I'm not out there on the field. I'm gonna tell you right now, I did not see one of those fucking defenders there. when they showed my man from the back, when they showed it from like behind Daniel Jones when he threw the ball, I saw the two guys that were on the right. I did not see that other guy coming from the other side. So I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Why didn't he put the ball out in front of him? So then I see the replay or whatever. I'm like, oh, he put the ball behind him, or he tried to underthrow the thing because of the fact that he saw the defender coming from the other side. But I'm like, if that's the case, why the fuck did he throw the ball in the first place? Because there were 3 fucking people there. I'm just like I told you from the start, like this morning or whatever. I'm like, I'm listening to so I was listening to a whole bunch of stuff, and one of the things that I was listening to was Tiki Barber earlier. This wasn't from him, but this was from Boomer Esiason. He was basically like, the only thing that he could come up with was that Daniel Jones basically decided before that play was called that he was going to go to his most trusted receiver. And that's the guy that he had been playing with his entire career. That's Darius Slayton. I don't know how the hell Darius Slayton ended up with 3 people on him. But sometimes you got to just fucking do better than that. Darius Slayton is not Justin Jefferson, all right? Because the flip side to that is the play that Justin Jefferson scored on, right? He's man up. It is 4th down against Deonte Banks, right? They motioned the guy from one side, they motioned the guy over, and with that, they found out that it was man coverage. Sam Darnold, like, all right, I'll take my chances. Touchdown. But you're not going to get that's not Darius Slayton, right?
Like,
on top of the fact that wasn't fucking triple coverage. If he was out there like 1-on-3 against Justin Jefferson, I kind of still like the odds of Justin Jefferson 1-on-3.
But like, why did they make it look so easy and we couldn't do that? Like, why couldn't you just go Dubs, Go Dubs right. Cool. 4th down. Hey, motion. Leave Neighbors over there. That's really your guy, your superstar, supposed to be wild ball, whatever. If they motion,
Beat him.
open,
Beat him.
like, if that guy goes in motion, oh, cool. He went with him. We know it's man.
Mm-hmm.
Hike, boom, slant. See what happens. Maybe he catches it. Maybe I think Stephon Gilmore was on most of the game. Maybe he beats him. Maybe he doesn't. But like, we're gonna just sit up here and just force the ball at Darius Slayton in triple coverage.
That's what I'm saying. In triple coverage.
And they said Brian Flores.
And again, if he's triple covered, somebody else got to be open, even if it ain't Neighbors. As you said, Wan'Dale Robinson probably open in the corner.
Wan'Dale Robinson was wide open in the corner. Wide open. Because I literally saw a replay of it, and it was him and Neighbors did like a scissors route. And both people jumped. Neighbors broke inside. Wan'Dale broke to the outside. Had Daniel Jones just folded the ball to the back pylon in the end zone, Wan'Dale was open in the back pylon in the end zone. Because the other safety, Josh Metellus, was sitting in the middle of the field, sitting on the Darius Slayton seam route. So he was playing center field. So it was literally him, and Wan'Dale would have beat him to the corner. And so you had him, you had Harrison Smith, who was just baiting Daniel Jones the whole time. And again, I still don't get it, because when you see the replay from behind Daniel Jones, there's still significant space for him to, even if he wanted to try, like, what made you throw it behind Slayton? Like, what even made you throw it behind him? Like, he was like, there was already 2 people there. And he was like, it was an all game thing, though. He was missing all game. It wasn't even.
The funny thing about it, one of the reason why I brought up Tiki Barber earlier too is Tiki in recent years has been very vehemently defending the Giants. He said he watched the one of the NFL Network programs or whatever that they have like on the app, and he's looking over it and he was just like, he saw a bunch of plays or whatever that were he considered to be bad throws. But then he watched it back a second time, and he was just like, "Nah." At this point, those aren't bad throws; those are just bad decisions. And like, there's no excusing it anymore at all. Now he's trying to sit up there and try and give Daniel Jones the week 4, but I'm just like, nah, I can't do that. He's got to the end of this game against the Commanders, and that's it. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, week 3 and week 4. It's not going to look good. Week 3, we got the Browns, and the Browns are far and away a better defense. And then we got the Cowboys, who we've never beaten with Daniel Jones, and has made us look fucking silly with him.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't understand how you can be in year 6 and you're still making the same mistakes you made as a rookie. Like, I don't get what you're seeing or not seeing or getting. Maybe it's because you went through so many different systems in your time. I don't know what it is, but to me, that doesn't even have anything to do with your decision making. Like, regardless of if we're running an offense led by Brian Dable or Pat Shermer or whoever else that we had, like, regardless of whoever, you're still making bad decisions as a quarterback in general. Like, throwing the triple coverage, not reading the field, not being able to process a defense, holding on to the ball too long. These are all things rookies that have been thrown into the spotlight. Those are like decisions that they make. You're a 6-year player in the league, and there's been no progression. None. You still look like the boy that's fresh out of Duke. So, like, I'm not at this point. I'm just like, there's no reason to hold on to, because there's nothing there that says he's getting better. There's nothing there. Like, there's no positive. I can't give you a positive attribute from him yesterday. Like, I can't sit up here and give you a play like this. I don't know. The one time he pushed the ball down the field, he had a 20-yard or 25-yard pass to Neighbors, who went up and got it over Stephon Gilmore. Like, Now again, we had 5 drops. I'll give him that. Like Theo had a wide open catch he should have caught. Jalen Hyla had a wide open catch he should have caught. Like Neighbors dropped one. Like we had wide open drops. I'll give him that. But boy, this boy was just when he was off, he was off. Like and like none of it just didn't make sense. It's like just watching the game, like I'll give the defense. The defense killed me too because like it got me so hyped the first couple plays. Big Drew Phillips play, forcing that fumble, Dex getting that sack. That all got me hyped. Like oh, like we're gonna be real. And then like the rest of the game was just a shit show. Just all that excusable too. Like we talked about. Dexter Lawrence coming off the field and teams just being like, oh, we can run the hell out the ball now. Because one person comes off the field. We can just gash these people. KT and Burns not setting the edges. And then if your name isn't Dexter Lawrence, you don't know what run stopping means. Like no Raheem Nunez Roches, who's known for his run stopping ability. DJ Davidson, which was another trash pick to me. I hated when we drafted him anyway. I didn't see what we saw in him at all. He's complete trash to me. Chapman came in and Chapman got tossed around. Jordan Riley's big ass 6'5", 330-pound ass got tossed around too. Like the moment Dexter Lawrence was out the game, the Vikings were everywhere just run. We're just gonna run. Like it doesn't even matter. And it just literally just proved it. Like it was crazy to see that. Crazy to see that. And then you're gonna talk about the whole offseason. It was cute. Everybody over here talking about, oh well, we look good like CB2. We have some options here. We don't really need to go sign anybody. We have options in house as far as McLeod and as far as Flott and as far as we brought in Trey Herndon and then there's David Long Jr. We brought in a lot of people for CB2, and then you cut half of them, and the other ones that you didn't cut got their ass handed to them yesterday. Like I don't like you want to play that cool coy game. Like we got things we could work at, and then you put out Hard Knocks, and then you watch when freaking Kool-Aid and Lassiter went in the draft, and y'all were all pissed.
Yep.
But if that were the case, why didn't you just fucking trade up and go get him? Because every other thing is, if that's your guy, you really feel like that's your guy, then you go get your guy no matter what. Now, I understand we got Tyler Nubin at 47, but we really wanted Kool-Aid to drop to 42. Everybody had Kool-Aid as a damn near first-round lock. So when man was on the board at 42, 5 picks ahead of you, you couldn't trade up 5 picks to go get him? That means he really wasn't your man then. And then you were going to come out after and be like, we got everybody that we really wanted. Bullshit. Bullshit. Because if we were telling me we could have set up here week 1 and we had Deonte Banks on one side and Kool-Aid McKinstry on the other side, I'd be a lot happier than Deonte and freaking McLeod.
It's like that's not a shot at Nubin, but at the same time, like Nubin doesn't play the position that we need.
No, and you let McKinney walk. I understand it. You weren't going to give the guy $70-80 million, whatever. I get it. You let the guy walk. You also have Pinnock. You also just drafted Owens last year. You also had Dane Belton. You also had Justin Simmons on the free agency sitting there screaming, sign me. You also had other options that you could have went and gone. You also had Jalen Bullock and Cole Bishop that are balling that were 3rd and 4th round picks that you could have went and got. But you went and got Tyler Nubin. Now, I will give you he is probably the best safety in the draft, but you could have turned around. You could have traded up a little bit, and you could have got you your CB2. It went back in the 4th, 5th round and took a Cole Bishop and still had a starting safety who's a baller and had a CB2 who's a baller. So don't come out and be like, we got everybody that we really wanted. No, the fuck you didn't. Shut the fuck up. Stop lying to people. This is why fans are pissed. This is why fans are calling for everybody's head, whether you're Daniel Jones, you're David, or you're Shane. At this point, all your lies are just being exposed. I'm not sitting up here like, expose your entire draft board. Everybody, but don't just spit in my face. Like, don't shit in my hand and call it diamonds, bro. Like, come on. This is clear. We need a CB2. Like, you can put McLeod out there against Jordan Addison. He got his ass whooped. When we were in Jets practice, you've had McLeod against Garrett Wilson, and Garrett Wilson was his had made him his plaything for a week.
I don't even know what the deal was with that. I don't know why Banks wasn't on him, and not that it would have been any better because I'm pretty sure Banks would have gotten his ass beat too. But
It's like,
come
bro,
on,
you're just like this is all obvious. It's everything's obvious now. Like Daniel Jones, it's obvious he ain't it. CB2, it's obvious we need one. A D tackle, it's obvious we need somebody next to Dexter Lawrence. Like
hmm
all this screaming, glaring, obvious needs now. It's not, you can't hide that. You can't hide that because we're gonna go into the Commanders next week, and whoever their second receiver is, because I couldn't even tell you a receiver on their team now. They traded Jahan. Oh, sorry, you got Terry McLaurin, who Deontay's probably gonna follow. So I don't know who your receiver 2 is, but it doesn't matter because they're probably better than McLeod or anybody else is gonna try it out there. You guys still got Xavier Howard sitting on free agency. You could have signed Stephon Gilmore. You said that the whole offseason, you could have signed that guy and had a veteran in the secondary. Okay, you went and you got Dory Jackson. You played a couple plays. You got a BS PI call, and then I never saw him again until he missed a tackle like in the middle of the third quarter. I don't get it, but you see my name. Cam Ward 2025. Just go get him.
I'm on the same train.
Just go get him. Just, like you at this point, you have to get a quarterback now. You've put yourself into this position that you have to go get a quarterback because you didn't get a quarterback. You didn't draft one in the draft, and all your only thing was we're gonna bring DeVito back. We're still gonna make you fight for a spot, and we're gonna go sign Drew Lock because Drew Lock is good enough. He's bad enough that he's not going to challenge for a starting spot, but he's okay enough that people will kind of leave us alone about our backup quarterback spot. You could have sat up here and you could have got Jameis. You could have tried to trade for him. You could have tried to do something there. You could still try to go for him now. And Jameis, honestly, if we bench Daniel Jones, I'd be fine with Jameis Winston the entire rest of the season. You could fork up a little bit more and go get DTR if you're really, and that could be a young option. People still looked at me crazy when I said, hey, go sign Russell Wilson. People still looked at me crazy when I said, go give a 6th-round pick for Justin Fields. And everybody was like, they're not going to take a 6th-round pick. They're going to want a second for him. And 6th-round pick straight to the Steelers. But you're okay. Like, we're okay. Daniel Jones he's still the guy. Fucking joke. A joke. Like, I was like, I'm literally sitting here, and it's so bad. But I'm at the point already after week 1, and I feel like a lot of Giants fans already after week 1 are sitting up here like 16 more games. 16 more games, and the Daniel Jones era is over. And I swear, I'm telling you, if these dudes sit up here and don't draft the quarterback, Dave and Shane are done. Because you cannot. I don't care how the season ends. You cannot try Daniel Jones back out there in 2025 as a starting quarterback. He'll need to be on this roster next year.
Yep.
On to
I think his biggest thing, if we're going to sit up here and say anything about Jones, like at the absolute least, he needs to change the scenery. If he's ever going to be an NFL quarterback.
I agree.
It does not need to be here. Let him go be Kyler Murray's backup over there in Arizona, where you ain't going to have anywhere near as much coverage as you are out here. Let him get over whatever phantoms that he's seeing coming at him through the offensive line, rehab that knee up, and then, like I said, back up Kyler Murray. And then that's just a team that I'm throwing out there because it's like almost as far away from New York as you can possibly get. And I don't mean by distance. I mean by like the, action.
Them or send them to Seattle or something to back up Gito and back up after this year. Let them go back up Sam Howell or something. I don't know, but I don't know. But he just does not need to be here anymore.
Yeah, this isn't an option anymore.
No, it's not a viable option.
And what makes it so much worse for me is the fact that we allowed Tyrod Taylor to leave. And granted, from what I understand, the Jets overpaid him or whatever. They paid him like way more than we were actually going to be willing to pay, so he went over there. But I would feel much more comfortable if Tyrod was still here.
I mean, we didn't win a lot of games, if any, with him, but at least it was competitive. And it was like, look at the Bills game. The Bills game, we were a play or two from winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, instead of running the ball at the end of the half, shouldn't have been a throw. It should have been a quick throw. If you can't get that throw, then you throw out of bounds or kick the field goal. We go into halftime tied. Like we're two, and then at the end of the game, you give the ball to Saquon and you let him run, and you let the best player on your team decide the fate of the game. We're 2 plays away from beating the Bills with Tyrod Taylor.
Yep.
So you let that guy walk out. You bring in Drew Lock, and 2 plays into his tenure with the Giants, he gets hurt or throws a pick. Like, but that was your big plan, because you wouldn't go and do anything else at the quarterback position in the whole offseason. You wouldn't go sign a quarterback. You didn't draft a quarterback. You got freaking people like Spencer Rattler looking like a potential gym later on. He looked great for the Saints in preseason. The Packers even drafted the kid Michael Pratt and then released him and then like signed him back. You could have traded for Malik Willis from the Packers. Like, so many things you could have done. We're so ready to spend draft capital on every other position. Sending a 2 and a 5 for Burns, trading conditional 6s and 7s all the time, but you don't want to do it to the quarterback position, the most pivotal position on the field. And I don't know, but this is it. This is it. If he shits the bed against the Commanders, his time is over. He needs to be pulled for the rest of the season. And he needs to be put on an inactive list. Bubble wrap that man so he cannot get hurt, so he don't trigger no call injury. And he needs to sit down and he needs to just watch Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito play the rest of the year. And honestly, I honestly would start DeVito. I'd start DeVito over Lock. And then, you know what? If I would start him, and then next year, if DeVito can actually prove that he's even like QB2, then drop Lock, because that's $5 million you paid for Lock for.
Yep.
Drop him, keep DeVito, go draft Cam Ward. You got Cam Ward and a guy who you know can be QB2, and he's for the low price. And unfortunately, you're going to have to drop Cam Ward into the fire, but you got Cam Ward. But now when you look at it, you have a solid offensive line. You got Wandale, you got Neighbors, you got Theo, you got Hyatt. Slade might be gone, but you have those 4. You got a good line. You got the legs of Cam Ward, and you got Devin Singletary. You got a rookie coming in with a cannon arm who is not afraid to throw the ball, who is a running threat as well. Defense are going to have to, they're going to test him because he's a rookie. But look at Anthony Richardson. Colts threw him in there, and he's a big kid. He's a great running threat, and he still sits up here, and he still has a cannon of an arm. But you just gotta watch. We gotta just see. We just gotta see who ends up being there. Like, there's only 4 or 5 guys I'm looking at right now, and to be honest, Shedeur dropped down to my list. I don't even want to touch him after his comments after the last game, throwing everybody.
I've already said that he hasn't been on my list just because of the fact that that's a circus you're bringing.
Oh yeah, that you're bringing.
That's a circus you'd be bringing to New York, which is already a circus.
Yep. You'd have prime time. You'd have prime on the sidelines next to Joe Shane, and
then on top of that, and then on top of that, considering how bad we've been over the last couple of years, you know what's going to happen. Dion had already come out and say, "Oh well, Shedeur is only going to be playing X, Y, and Z for X, Y, and Z teams and all this other stuff." He's going to do the same shit that Eli and Archie Manning did. except we're gonna be on the receiving end of it this time.
You got to me, and like I said, all that is a big factor. And then when you cross off, and then when you look at his comments after the Nebraska game, after they got killed, and his words really were, "Well, how many times did Dylan Raiola get touched? Like, you threw your whole offensive line under the bus. Good job. We don't want you. Bye." Like I said, you got Cam Ward, you got Beck, you got Nussmeier, and you might have Quinn Ewers. You got 4 QBs. Yeah. You got to take one of them. Or honestly, if you don't take one of those dudes after, you should be fired after round 1. Unless you somehow, the whole rumor of us going to try to trade for Josh Allen, unless that happens. Yeah.
Even then, I'm like, I would 1,000% be more on, and this isn't just giving up draft capital. This isn't just me saying like don't do that. I'm more along the lines of like, yo, just to draft your heir apparent. I don't want to sit up here and see like, oh man, we went out there and we traded for Josh Allen. Now we got Josh Allen for like 5 years, and then that's it, because then his career gonna be over after that. Nah, I want a dude here. Like I said, I'm sorry, Eli spoiled me, right? I don't want to sit up here and be like, this dude is gone immediately. I want somebody here for like 15, 16 years.
And to be honest, also to what you said, yesterday when we were talking, I want to use your point too. You want somebody, it's like, what you're getting out of Josh Allen. You're getting a good regular season quarterback, a good playoff quarterback that can get over the hump. And that's what a lot of people were talking about with Dak Prescott. Like, oh, Dak, the Cowboys are going to let him go. The Giants can pick up Dak Prescott and this and that, blah, blah. And you were like, I don't want him because he's a good regular season quarterback who can never get over the playoff hump. So you're capped with this dude already.
With a better roster.
With a better roster, with a better offensive line, with a better receiving game and all that. You got all that. And you already know this guy's cap is the divisional round. So you sit up here and you're going to get Josh Allen, and what's going to be your cap with Josh Allen? The divisional round, maybe the AFC Championship.
Yep.
You know your cap with Josh Allen that you're getting. Again, with a better roster in the Bills. You might have a better receiving core now when you come over here. Now that, Gabe and Stephon are gone. But your cap with Josh. Go get your heir apparent. Go put your stamp on this, and you get your time. And if it fails, it fails. But you have to go get your guy now. You have to get your guy. But like I said, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens after week 2. Let's go to the Commanders. If this dude shits the bed, I hope he's pulled the rest of the season, and then hopefully that ends the Daniel Jones era. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, other than I need 20 yards from Breece Hall, 4 yards from Garrett Wilson, and 11 yards from Brandon Ayuk.
Gosh. All right. Anyway, let's get 1 hour. Short, sweet, to the point. Big giant rant. That should be the name of our podcast. Big giant rant. That'll be good.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Anyway, guys that stuck around, thanks for watching. Check us out next week. Hopefully, it'll be a Victory Monday podcast, or it'll be another big giant rant. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Drop a like. Let us know what your thoughts on the podcast, on the stream, and everything. We'll be back as always. Is Nosebleed section. Hopefully, you got a better thing to talk about next week. And here's to hopefully a good 2025 season. 2024, excuse me. I'm already looking forward to Cam Ward. All right. Night, everybody.
15-2 next year, bro. Cam Ward, MVP.
Who existed to end the podcast. I love this. I love the vibes. Good night.